In popular culture and society, the term virtual reality is used to mean a lot of different things, from 360-degree video to simulators being confused with augmented reality. But in reality, it has a very specific meaning and definition.
Virtual reality captures some of the three-dimensionality and the way we experience things through our vision and places it into a digital world. There are surfaces and there's depth and there's distances and there's things to move around in space.
Virtual reality refers to putting on a head-mounted display and being immersed in another world. So I'm sitting here in this room in Menlo Park. If I put on a VR HMD, I can be transported anywhere and everywhere. I could be in a virtual world. Black Friday is a very rare event. It's hard to prepare for this event because you do not get the rush and the feeling of Black Friday on most any other day of the whole year except on Black Friday. But with VR, we can now prepare these store managers and these store associates because we can basically capture a Black Friday scene one time and then have that replicated over and over again. Their brain thinks that they're in this huge crowd of people. That reaction, doing that over and over again, helps these managers become more comfortable, helps these store associates understand exactly what it feels like. They can make the decisions, they can do their job normally and not have to feel that sort of pressure because they've been there before.
The opportunities for virtual reality and learning extend beyond training for hard skills and preparing workers for certain experiences.
I am a two-time survivor of sexual violence. The problem is that people don't know how to respond. So you, as a bystander, as a community member, know how to respond to that and know what to say back to that. Virtual reality is already used for therapeutic purposes. It's already used for training. It more closely aligns with the way that your brain perceives and recalls information. So you actually have up to a 90% retention rate versus existing training programs.
Sometimes people call them empathy machines, and I think that's really appropriate because they absolutely give you that ability to see through somebody else's eyes and go through those experiences.
The way that we're structuring it is you walk into the experience and you're standing in a lobby. The scene unfolds around you and you'll look down at your phone and you'll see that your coworker from across the room sent you a text message, and it'll say, "Hey, that joke seems really weird. Amy looks uncomfortable. Should he be saying something like that?" And then you have an auto suggest of maybe 3 or 4 responses testing for various different things on a level of 0, +1, -1. And then at the very end, we take you to an empathy scene and we give you the opportunity to respond with empathy.
There's a lot of hype and excitement around VR, but experts warn against investing in it for the wrong reasons, or in circumstances where it doesn't necessarily make sense.
If you're going to invest in VR, make sure that it's, obviously, number one, make sure it's not a gimmick, right? You're not doing it just to do it because it's a technology. There are plenty of other technologies out there that might serve what you're wanting to do. And we try to be very careful about that here. We steer people away all the time when they try to get into something where it doesn't make sense. But in cases where you couldn't naturally put somebody in that environment on a regular basis, that a simulated environment is better, absolutely, VR every time. That's going to be so great.
VR right now, despite all of its amazing qualities and future potential, right now, if you don't do it and create it in the right way, especially as it relates to learning and the human body learns, it might not be as successful as you want it.
So how much are you spending on your internal education? How much are you on training? How much are you spending on that already? Because then you can get into some comparisons. Are you spending $100,000 annually? Or are you spending, each training group comes in as $50,000? Because now when you're starting to talk about that, then you can start to get into some really good comparisons. So in that way, it's accessible.
Every educational curriculum certainly starts with a needs assessment. And as you can imagine, these are very high fidelity virtual reality simulators. They're very realistic. A lot of engineering went into to make them as robust as they are. So they're expensive. So we have to be very cautious about which ones we're going to invest in. So we look at our needs, we look at the number of people that might be using it, and then we look at our budget. And if we can add a machine that we think is going to be heavily used and is going to have a high impact on our training needs, then we're certainly going to look into purchasing it.
I would state that it's not cost prohibitive. If you look at the existing solutions in terms of, traditional 2D video training, they currently cost between $29 to $75 per person. What we want to do is we want to hit, either around that or in between that, so making sure we're staying within the existing market.
It'll take an investment, but that's an investment that continues to pay off with each person who uses it. So if you think like, how far out do we need this to be to make our money back? I'd say, if you can do that within a few years, you're still in pretty good shape.
As far as what's on the horizon, it may be a while before virtual reality reaches its full potential in learning and development. But what is available continues to grow more sophisticated.
How fast is it progressing? Not as fast as the hype would say, right? And the reason for that is that it's not immediately accessible to the public. There's a cost issue, there's still a development thing going on. There's also an evolution that's happening in enterprise, education, training, entertainment. There's lots of places that it fits right now. As far as like general populace, that's gonna take some time. It'll probably take 5 to 10 years to be completely absorbed and for society to really take it in and have everybody have their sort of version of VR. It's gonna have to become cheaper, it's gonna have to become more mobile, it's going to have to be, have a wider range of things that appeal.
We are seeing applications in virtual reality such as things to replace cadavers, a computerized system where you can interact with it and wear goggles to interact with a cadaver, and you buy this package instead of actually using a cadaver for dissection during medical school. They're going to get more sophisticated as time goes on and we learn more how to build them. We still have not replicated the human to complete realism, and I don't know if that's achievable, but you never know.